Melissa Crook here from the Feel Podcast. Here are your ways to engage with today's episode, Speaking Up for Yourself with Sarika Singh. Challenge yourself to answer honestly when someone asks you how you are, and vice versa. Are you feeling hopeful, exhausted, overwhelmed? Think of another adjective other than good. If someone responds that way when you ask how they are, ask if that's true. Are you really good? It can mean the world to someone when you show sincere interest in them and want to be a person they can open up to. We hope this finds a place in your week this week, not just to engage with this episode, but something you're consciously more aware of as we engage with each other in these questions and conversations. Thanks so much for being with us this week as we are hearing from the remarkable communicator, Sarika Singh. You are in for such a treat as we join this conversation, Speaking Up for Yourself with Sarika Singh. Thanks so much for being with us. Talk to me about your self-care practices and how do you prioritize those in your life? And what's your journey been with that?
So self-care, I really feel it's such an elusive and yet in demand kind of a topic. It's like a treasure box these days. And prioritizing the self-care is pretty much wishful. It's a whole new level.
Yeah.
Having said that, I believe that, self-care is basically you maintaining your body, your mind, kind of how you would care for, say, maybe a garden. You need to keep doing removing the weeds. You've got to water it. You need sunlight. We need all sorts of things. And likewise, you need to care for yourself. And this is something we really ignore. Otherwise, our body, our mind starts to show, ways of neglect. And without self-care, I feel these days we're all burning out.
Yes.
We're so stressed. I remember, my parents, my mom, we never used to talk about stress. We are talking about stress and tension, and physically we keep falling sick and so many things. That's all because we are not prioritizing self-care.
Yeah.
But some people, they think that self-care is being selfish. Many times we as women also start thinking, no, how can I think about myself? I have to think about my family first. I have to think about my children first. So, that self-care always takes a back seat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it takes a back seat until it can't anymore.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Selfishness is like, you're having a pizza and you just grab the biggest slice without really worrying about others, whether they want it or not. But self-care is almost like, say, you don't want to go out on the weekend, for example.
Yeah.
You had a rough week, you had a busy week, you're drained out, you don't want to go. And you don't want to upset your friends also who are asking you out. So when you're doing self-care, you don't say that, no, I don't want to go this weekend. Instead, you say something like, I won't want to go this weekend because I'm very drained out, but let's plan something next weekend. So, you're not really blocking them off. You're communicating positively, but you're also taking care of yourself.
That's
I think these little things are kind of important.
Yeah, I love that. I love two things there. I love that example because that is a great way to communicate boundaries, which we'll talk about next. It's like, it's a loving way, a kind way, but also keeping yourself and your wellness at the forefront. I love the garden metaphor because I think sometimes those are the basic things. We need to give ourselves water, good food, nutrients, remove the weeds and the gunk so we've got space and bandwidth and capacity and a full cup to show up in the world the way we want to. And so instead of thinking of this as selfish, think it's self-preservation at the very basic level. And it's allowing you to show up the way you want to in the world.
True. And like, whenever taking a flight, there is this air hostess when she does the drill before you take off.
Yeah.
She says they're the oxygen masks and they will come down and, whenever the air pressure is low. But please wear your mask before helping your child or somebody else. So they're saying you take care of yourself first and then go ahead and help others. Because otherwise you can't help yourself, you can't help the others. So that battle is lost without even, starting it.
It is. Exactly. You're done before you even got going. That's such a great way to say that. So good. What are some things that really help you, that nourish you? Do you schedule this in your calendar? Do you just listen to your body each day and respond accordingly? What have you found works for you?
I think it's essentially every day. You keep evolving every day. There are no scripted lessons in life. And every time you think that, you're better prepared, the next day life throws something at you which you're completely unprepared for. And I think the best thing is to just be open, go with the flow, and just keep reflecting on the things that you learn, but don't have a closed mind.
Yes.
The minute we close our mind, the minute we start thinking that these are the rules, this is to be followed, go regimental about things.
Yeah.
That's when things become stagnant. And that's something which is really, really harmful.
Yeah.
Just be open and,
I love that.
Life as it comes, one day at a time.
Yeah.
Live it up.
Right. Well, exactly. And have some fun and make space for that. I love that. And that stagnant piece, because it becomes too much like a checklist and it's no longer helping you. If you're not checking in with yourself to see, is this actually servicing me, or is this something I just checked off my to-do list today? So I love that stagnant piece, and be that mindful, being aware, not getting locked into rules, but actually really listening to your body and what it's telling you it needs. And that's so important, because every day is different. You just don't know what's coming, but being willing to listen and be present. I think being present is so important in that. It's when we're present and paying attention that we can be alerted to those things. So thank you for that. So good. You said this really well earlier when you were talking about that. I know we're not going out with you this weekend, friends. Let me get some rest. We'll do that again. And that really is a beautiful example of setting a boundary. You listening to your body. It's letting you know you need to say no to something, but it's not a wall. It's just not this week, not today, maybe later, come back to me. And it's so much, setting boundaries is so much about communication, which you are a specialist at. So talk to me about your boundaries journey and when you learned how to communicate those so well.
So, believe you me, I've always had difficulty saying no to people. I've struggled with this so much that, my best friend, in fact, once gifted me a book, How to Say No to People.
Oh.
And I read that book time and again. I must be having it somewhere in the house. And, I read it so many times and still I was like, what did I really learn? I did not, because your mind is so closed. When you actually try to apply it in situations, you keep forgetting and you behave the way you generally do.
Yeah.
So I think setting boundaries was my personal battle, which I really wanted to master. And in the effort of mastering it myself, I think I have been able to help many other people in their journey, to help set boundaries. Because, the minute you set boundaries, you have a superpower in your back pocket. It's very convenient. It's very empowering. And for example, if you're going in a crowded bus or a train, you're going to, say, work or school or wherever, and somebody just tries to push you or is extra nudgy and, gets into your space. So you have to say that, please, hello, this is my personal space.
Yeah.
You have to assert, you have to draw that physical boundary.
Yeah.
If you don't, he's only going to pile on you and think that you're vulnerable or you're not really saying a no to things, and it can get even worse.
Yeah.
So you have to set that boundary, and there's nothing wrong in that.
Yeah.
The other day I was in a flight, and there was this one person just sitting behind me, and he was, kicking.
Yeah.
Generally you experience that, and somebody kicking me on the seat, and I thought it's a child. I ignored it. I didn't even look back. But then this continued. So, I turned around. I saw somebody was wearing headphones, listening to music, and he didn't realize he was, he was making me uncomfortable. So I said it really politely. I said, it's, can you stop doing that? So he stopped for a bit and then again continued. So I realized this is not unintentional.
Yeah.
This, he's getting a kick out of kicking. So it had to be, if I was maybe 10 years, 20 years ago, I wouldn't have probably said it in so many words. Yeah. But then I said, now it's time to really assert myself. So I got up. It was pin drop silence in the aircraft at that point in time. I got up, looked at him in the eye and told him, please do not kick. I've said it so many times.
Yes.
And, everybody was looking at him with those blaming eyes. Why are you troubling her? That minute, and my entire flight was so comfortable.
I love that. But that's such a good example of that. One time, sometime isn't enough. Sometimes you got to do it again. Don't be afraid to do that. You get to stick up for yourself and protect yourself.
We teach our children good touch from bad.
Yes.
But these are very small little things which we as, mothers, as parents, we do that. But you have to tell them that it's not just physical boundaries. These are, mental, emotional. You have to set them. And, it's all about communicating to the other person that, this is where you draw the line and you don't cross the line.
Yeah.
And mastering this is, believe you me, it's like a walk in the park. It's very simple. It's the only thing is that we don't venture out. We think, oh no, he'll feel bad. What will they think? So many judgments, so many assumptions, that we live with, we are conditioned with.
Yes.
Because of which we don't say a no.
Right.
And because of which,
Yeah.
So, in fact, once I was doing a workshop with a group of, students. They were early freshers, like in 18, 20-year-olds. So there was this one boy, very sweet. He got up and he said, ma'am, I'm very good academically. I do very well in school. I'm on top of my class. But whenever I'm doing a team project, everyone else just comes and loads me with all sorts of work. So I'm not able to say a no to them. And they just pile me with work. Nobody else wants to do anything. Even the teachers, they give me a lot of work because they know that, he's going to do it. Others will not do it.
Right.
It's very convenient for them. And I suffer in the process. So, my question to him, my answer to him was actually a question.
Yeah.
I said, do you say no? And he said, no. I said, that's the problem.
Yeah.
Because you don't say that no.
Yeah.
You don't draw that boundary. How do you expect others to respect it?
Right. You have to communicate that. We can't assume people know when it's too much. If you keep just doing what you've been doing for them, that's working great for them. So they're going to keep sending stuff your way and it will wear you out if you don't start drawing a line in the sand. But we can't assume that people will know when it's too much for us. We have to communicate that. I think that's that's a perfect example. We get so frustrated, especially as women, because you said something earlier about when you were thinking about the encounter on the plane and expressing that boundary, we start thinking, oh, this person will feel bad. Oh, I don't want to create a scene. Oh, they might get mad at me. And we drop the discomfort. We quit thinking about our own discomfort and automatically concern ourselves with the other person. So like, wait a minute. They're the one.
And none of these things will actually happen.
No, that's right. These are thoughts. Yes, they're thoughts in our head that we treat as truths. And we have to remind ourselves that thoughts and truth are not synonymous. Just because you're thinking it doesn't mean it's true. And so many times we're thinking things these people aren't even considering. This guy was probably just in his own world, listening to his music, not even really paying attention to the facts. It was probably a habit. He's probably done it many times. And I would guess many people have never said anything to him because they were worried about the same things. Otherwise, he wouldn't continue to do it. So hopefully what this has created in him now is an awareness, a mindfulness of what he's doing. And it's like, oh gosh, I need to remember this makes the person in front of me in that seat uncomfortable. I need to hopefully that planted that. You may be the first person to ever ask him to stop doing it.
And actually now he'll not do it because he knows people will say.
Yes.
Somebody will voice it.
Right.
And that's important.
Absolutely, it is important. And it's important too, as we talk about the dynamics of men and women in the world and what we're conditioned differently growing up in our different spaces and how we're taught how we're told to treat people, how we're told to present ourselves. And I think finally we as women are starting to speak up. It's like, no, I'm not just going to sit here and be quiet and quote unquote nice, because that's not being nice to myself. And that's not,
the self-care. That's the self-care.
It
is.
You're
talking about.
Yes. And that's such a good point. That is self-care. That is taking care of your wellness, your mental, your emotional health, and knowing your value, that you deserve to take up space and you don't have to put up with someone else's mindless behavior. Not that they were intentionally trying to bother you, but they just weren't even thinking about it, and so it's okay for you to speak up. So thank you so much. Such good examples there. And also that student, it's like you can complain about people piling on, but you got to think about your part in it. Have I ever said no? Yes, I've said no one time. I need to say no again. I need to, and just make it very, very clear. Because again, if they're used to you showing up a certain way, you might have to say no a few times, or if they're not used to being told no or having something pointed out, you may have to communicate it a couple of times. That's okay. You're worthy of that. Taking care of our emotional health as much as our physical health. Talk to me about that mental, emotional, physical health connection and how it has played out in your own life and how you see that helping you as you're helping other people.
So, I feel that we watch so much social media these days. We see all these fit bodies and, the Zumba and Pilates and I don't know, so many things. And there are these diets, the keto, and somebody's doing intermittent fasting and all those kind of things. So we've become really aware, we're conscious of what we eat, we're mindful there. Yeah. Be focused on our physical well-being. And, we are also, interestingly, we're also aware of our mental health. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of, I would say credit, or should I say discredit, goes to COVID. Because of COVID times, a lot of people have experienced a lot of mental health concerns and, all these things really made a difference.
Yeah.
COVID came in much later, but other than that, also people are aware of mental health issues and the kind of pressures that we are experiencing these days. There's peer pressure, societal pressure, there's financial pressure, you multitasking, so you're doing 10,000 things at one time, running from pillar to post, and so managing so many variables. All these things cause our brain to sort of work overtime.
Yeah.
We're trying to extract 48 hours out of 24.
Yeah.
In the process, we struggle.
Yeah.
And, at the time of my growing up, probably the only mental health issue that I had heard about was, okay, somebody has maybe epilepsy or somebody has depression. That's about it. That was my knowledge, my understanding of mental health issues.
Right.
And it was a point in time, it was taken with a pinch of salt. People used to think with a slightly negative connotation that, oh, is he retard? Is he, that kind of mindset.
All those stigmas.
And it was taboo. You won't talk about mental health.
No.
Now, mental health, you want counseling. You go see a counselor. You go to the spa to relax. You're taking care of your mental health.
Yeah.
There's so many mediators and there's a manifestation coach and a life coach and a happiness coach and a wellness coach. I mean, there's plentiful.
Yeah, so many more resources.
Yes. And I feel that all these are very important, like we talked, so that we don't burn out.
Exactly.
But I would also give a lot of credit to a lot of celebrities who openly talked about mental health issues.
Yeah.
Because of them, common people, because we love to ape celebrities. We love to be cool,
Right. And follow.
So, I mean, for instance, Wayne Johnson, The Rock, he talked very openly about, his mental health issues and his struggling. I mean, he's buff, he's successful as hell, he's good looking, he's everything you will wish for. But he talks about his depression very openly, and that sort of makes other people confident that, okay, it's not something so bad, you can't not talk about it.
Yeah.
I mean, Lady Gaga has talked about it. She's
Absolutely.
been a major advocate of, mental health awareness. She's talked about her own ADHD, her own, phases of depression and anxiety and all those kind of things.
Yeah.
So, I think they have made a positive impact on people.
Yeah.
Sometimes there are some celebs who just get into the bandwagon and talk about it without really...
being mindful.
But,
right.
Yeah, I mean... Prince Harry, he talked about his, issues. So things like this don't leave a prince alone. So we are all commoners. So I think when you look at these people, it gives you the confidence to talk about things. And in any kind of mental health related issue, I think the most important thing is to talk it out. To communicate, to speak up, whether you're talking to a friend, whether you're talking to a colleague, your parent, your child, but talk it out. You have to vent it out. You have to seek help. You have to ask for help. There's nothing wrong about it. I mean, you have to prioritize it. It's your self-care, and it's a muscle you want to build. You can't ignore it,
Yeah.
I'm a woman, I'm a mother, a daughter, I'm a single mom. So, living in India as a single mother, as a single woman, is not really that cool, it's an uphill task. And, I've had my own share of successes and failures, but I think all these just shape up your personality, and all these just make you stronger in some way. Mm-hmm. And, I've been in the corporate world. I've, grown from the bottom of the rung of the ladder to right up to the top. And it's been a male dominated society. So, you have to talk to yourself if you really want to make a difference.
Yes. So
if
important.
You don't speak up.
Right.
If you don't speak up.
Yeah. It goes back to that communicating your needs, communicating and not living in silence when you're having a struggle or an issue. And because that silence in being alone is the opposite of what you need. But no, finding those safe spaces to get what you need. But I love what you said about the celebrities, because it shows us like, listen, and you said it like, if Prince Harry can struggle with stuff, no one is immune. Selena Gomez is another one that comes to mind, who does a lot of advocacy and has reached a lot of people in my daughter's generation, as she's been very open in talking about it and sharing and offering resources. She's got nonprofits she supports. So all those people, it's like, wait a minute, I'm not alone in this. We can all talk about this together. And we can all still, if we get those tools we need, live very healthy, thriving lives as we get tools to learn how to live with this. It's part of our layers, but it's that taking those stigmas off, having those open conversations, understanding the connection, and that burnout piece that has come up time and time again in my conversations that I've been having the last few weeks, of being mindful of that, not allowing ourselves to get there. Because I think too many times as women, we get there and then we respond with what we need. Let's not get there. Let's put these practices into place now as a buffer so we don't get there. And it goes back to, like you said, that's taking care of you. It's all part of your self-care and knowing your value and that you're worthy of that time. And again, filling that cup so you can be your most authentic, healthiest self in the world. Yeah, so good stuff.
I agree.
Good stuff there. All right.
I think everything is boiling down to self-care. There is elements that, all roads lead to self-care.
Yes.
So we
yeah,
are basically discussing the different aspects of self-care and why we need to prioritize it and how we can prioritize it.
you do this so well in your work. So talk to me about how we can support ourselves and other women in living unapologetically.
Like I was mentioning about my journey in the corporate world, and as a single mom, as a woman, as a mother, I think it's all about supporting yourself and supporting the other women around you.
Yeah.
Not only the women, because you support the women and then obviously the families and the extended families, and that's how it goes.
Yeah.
So I'll just share a very personal example. For example, in our factory, I'm also the CEO of a health food brand in India. It's called Hampur Green, and we make more than 150 types of jaggery. I don't know if you know panela.
Oh, okay.
So it's a whole naturally sugarcane. It's sugarcane juice is basically clarified and, cleaned and crystallized. Okay. Partially centrifuged, I should say. Okay. And it's a centrifugal sugar. So, there, the factory is surrounded, is in an area which is surrounded by a lot of villages. And these villages have very orthodox Muslim population.
Yeah.
And very orthodox, very conservative, women not allowed to get out of the house, girls not educated. So these women have never been to school. And we were facing these issues of, men on the job, they were drinking and, they were doing all sorts of things. So, and we thought, let us encourage women to get out. So we took on a mission of getting these women on board. It was a struggle getting them out of their houses, but, it goes like a chain. One tells a good thing to the other one, and then it just carries on. The good word spreads. And so we train them for GMP, good manufacturing practices, food packaging, things like that. So now the entire packaging unit has some 250 plus women. It's a women-dominated packaging unit, and they are the breadwinners. They can make better choices for their children, for their education, for their nutrition, and they are proud. They walk with their heads high.
Oh.
So it's such a great feeling to feel that, you could make a difference in somebody's life. And, the entire management is supported and, really helped these women come up, which is a fantastic thing. So I think small differences like this actually make your life more meaningful.
Oh, absolutely.
Because you're touching lives of people, and we women, many times, many of us are actually not really swimming. We're basically trying not to drown.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
And it's important that some of us who've learned swimming can actually help the women in the deep end and get them on board. So like these little changes can really make a lot of difference in their lives. And once their lives change, their entire family lives change.
Yeah.
So their children, their extended families, everything changes, and the mindset starts to change. That these women they're also capable of many other things apart from just being homemakers.
Yes.
And like that, I feel that we cannot not support each other.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's not a choice,
Yeah.
It's a message of solidarity, of, camaraderie, and we need to help each other. And I think this is what is going to create the real waves,
Yes, this is how we change the narratives. This is how we remove the stigmas, remove the old, tired themes and stories and things that we've been told versus what's actually true. I'm so curious because you and I talked about this in our Zoom call. I love this story so much. How were you able to get the men on board with this change? How did that go?
So, it was one of my colleagues' very brilliant idea, and that brilliant idea was food. And entice them with free food. So we said, if you come to work, you get, free meals.
Okay.
And your children get free meals. So that sort of, helped people get out that, okay, you're just going for a meal. You're going for a meal, you get talking, you form a bond. One thing leads to the other. And so
it's a communication piece and building trust.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It's totally communication. And now you don't have to do anything. That communication is on autopilot.
Right. Yeah.
It's,
Yeah,
they
absolutely.
are communicating, and, looking at us, many other units have started employing more and more women. And in fact, the entire mindset of the area, the people, that is changing. They've started valuing those women who were otherwise beaten, abused, going through so much. Now, not anymore.
That's such
We talk about women liberation. We talk about, so many things. But we as women, we know what the pain points are. We know where it pinches, where it hurts.
Yeah.
And if we don't help each other, nobody else will.
Right. We have to stop waiting for somebody. It has to be us doing it together. Absolutely. And taking action and knowing there's enough room for all of us, understanding that us building this together is how we change, again, all of these ways. We make this a safer space. We change the narrative around us. We change the old, tired things that aren't true. We break down patriarchal norms that aren't serving anybody.
Exactly.
Nobody wins, but it takes us as a collective doing it together. We don't see each other as a threat. We see each other as an ally and an advocate. And when you've got space and knowledge and privilege, bring that other woman along with you. Share that space on, if someone is, dishonoring her and interrupting her, whatever it is, step in and say, hey, I think she's got more to say, or I think we need to make space for her here. don't be afraid of, because that's multiple women in these spaces together, unified. That's what changes things. So what a beautiful example of that. Thank you so much for sharing that. That is just, it's one of my favorite stories I've ever heard. It's such a beautiful, a clear example of empowerment.
But the credit goes to this colleague that I was mentioning. He thought of this, how to get into their minds and how to get into their houses. I think that's what made the entire difference. Rest of us were all supportive and, I think like that, small little ideas, very, very small little things can make such a huge impact.
Yeah.
So that's why it's important to share. It's important to communicate and share with everyone that this is what worked for me. Why don't you try it out? It might just work for you as well.
Absolutely. So, and it's such, I love that, getting them there for a meal. How many problems have been solved in the world around the table, sharing a meal together? I mean, I think that's just such a beautiful example of that. Of starting.
And they say, a family that eats together stays together. You eat together, you talking, you laughing, you sharing. Okay, this is what happened with me during the day. This is the problem I'm facing. You sharing, you communicating. And that's what weaves you together and knits you together. So eventually we all know this, but we don't realize it.
Yeah, we don't put it into practice. And it's, again, going back to that, those stories build bridges. They allow us to get to know each other, see each other as human and not just an other. I mean, it just creates a different kind of bond and a different kind of understanding of people. I love, that's just such a good example. And it really does come back to bringing those basic premises in. And we make things so complicated sometimes, and we forget about these basic tools we already have that are time honored. Over generations, we've seen how these things can work. But now, by using that tool, you have changed generations moving forward for these girls and these boys, seeing their moms working in the workplace and learning to value women and the many ways that they can show up in the world and be and not just in this one box. So it's multiple things and that will change how they communicate and view women as they grow up. I mean, it changes the whole dynamic. You, I'm sure, get a lot of things that you are asked to do, ways you are asked to show up for people. So talk to me about the importance of coming back to your why and your values in everything you do. So you know where to give your time and what matters to you.
Yeah, I mean, really, thank you for asking this question because, I keep asking this question to myself so many times.
Yeah.
Because, why am I doing what I'm doing? Why do I love doing what I'm doing? So, and is there something I need to change to do what I want to do? So that why keeps changing. It's very dynamic. It's like a live document.
Yeah, a live document. I love that.
So recently, actually last month, that my mom suffered a heart attack and she was in the ICU and it was very critical. And it was a very rough few weeks for me. And that day I was in the waiting area, with my mom's reports, and I had to see the doctor to get them reviewed. And I saw this woman, she was sitting next to me and a staff nurse had come to her and run her through some procedure. And I could see she was very, just terrified.
Yeah.
But she was just nodding her head, listening to her. And I was generally observing her. Mm-hmm. And I asked her, I said, "Are you okay?" Mm-hmm. So she, I was a complete stranger in a big hall full of a lot of people. I mean, you don't really open up to people.
Yeah.
So she said, she looked at me and she said, "Yes, I'm fine." And then she gave me a second look. I was still looking at her and she said, and I could see her small round eyes just filled up with tears. And she said, "No, I'm not okay." She saw the look in my eyes that, okay, she's not just randomly asking me a question. She's actually concerned and waiting to reply. And I could see she's all by herself and there is something she has to go through.
Yeah.
At that point in time, I just forgot about why I was there to show my reports, my mom's reports and everything. And so she told me her entire story. She had come from Philippines. She had a 14-year-old boy who had to get kidney transplant because they did not have kidney transplant in Philippines.
Wow.
So she'd come all the way to India, and
wow.
she and her husband had come with, hoping that one of them can be a donor and they can, match the,
sure.
I don't know, whatever they do.
Yeah.
So, and I think just talking to me that those few minutes made a lot of difference to her.
Yeah.
And I forgot about my whole pain. And I was, giving her suggestions, do this, don't do this. How are you, how are you managing your we talked for so long.
Yeah.
Her name was Pia. Pia, I pray for you, and I know the audience here is also going to pray for you and your son. And but little bit of communication can touch lives in ways you can't imagine.
Yeah.
It was all that little communication. And if I hadn't done that, I don't know her, but now I know her.
Yeah.
And it helped her, it helped me.
Yeah.
And it made us bond in strange ways.
Yeah.
And I really believe that, we are on this earth for a brief period in time. If you're able to impact any life, like I do my podcast, Communicate 101, speaking, writing tips. And if my whole idea is that I can touch somebody's life.
Yeah.
And when I have people writing to me with their problems that, some school child, somebody in the corporate, somebody is a homemaker, all sorts of people asking all sorts of questions. And I base my podcast to answer those questions. So I feel, okay, I am making a difference.
Yes.
So this becomes my why.
Yeah.
It gives me my why. Why am I doing this? I enjoy it. I love it because with one show, I'm able to, connect with so many lives. You're doing the same. You're giving.
Yeah. Yeah.
That giving, you become forgiving.
Yes.
It makes it's so impactful and it's so satisfying.
Yeah, it is. Just taking those. I love that example of that. It's just that little moment. She will never forget you because you were that person that showed up for her in a time when she just needed to be heard, needed to just cry and be understood, be seen. And it helped you because, it's just that realization that we're not doing this alone. And I love the fact she was from an entirely different country, all there in India by herself, other than her immediate family members, trying to navigate this space and this different. It's not like she was at a hospital at home that was familiar. And so you just never know what people are going through. And I love also that you kept eye contact with her. She knew it wasn't just a casual, polite, how are you? She understood because you continued that eye contact, that intent, that she could actually say more. Because I think that's a difference too, when we're asking people how they are, being intentional about it. If you don't actually want to know how somebody is, then don't, but we're so conditioned, and we're also just conditioned to say, "I'm fine. How are you?" And
yes, and just those page three cheek rubbing. It's like, hi, how are you? And you keep moving to the next person. Sorry, but I find that so superficial.
It is. It is. So I love that example, and also just that reminder of the difference you just never know the difference you can make. And I started my podcast and it's like, I've learned a series of things here in my life. And I know that we as women deserve and can do healthier by our choices and knowing that we have choices. So I want to share this information. We're going to have these discussions. We're going to remove the stigmas. We're going to to completely get rid of the idea that it's selfish and we're going to lift each other up as we do it. That's just an example of you doing that in the moment. You saw it. You saw a need. You were curious. You addressed it. And it helped both of you. And I think so many times, so don't miss out on those little opportunities to step in and just check in. You just never know what kind of connections will come out of it and the kind of difference. It goes back again to those simple, basic premises we know, but we forget to. We're so in our phones. We're so in our own spaces that we don't.
We are focused in our lives. We are completely focused, Without that self-care, we are focused. We're doing everything like robots.
Yeah. And so lift your head and just see what's going on around you, and don't miss those opportunities. Okay, because they just, you never know the difference they're going to make for both people involved. That's such a beautiful example. Thank you so much for that. Talk to me about living out of your own expectations versus others. You talked about earlier, you're a single mom in India with a career, just from a cultural narrative expectations, you're kind of, bumping up against that. So talk to me about your expectations journey.
Yeah, I think expectations is us humans. We are perpetually expecting something out of each other, out of life, out of ourselves, out of God. We pray and we expect Him to return the favor.
Right.
So,
yes.
So
always looking for the outcomes.
Yes, exactly. So everything is about. One way of expectation is hope, but there's a very fine line dividing that. I believe that, when you live out of your expectations, you're basically accepting yourself. You're embracing all your layers. You're embracing your quirks, your weaknesses, your strengths, and you start going on the paths that your passion, your values, they drive you.
Yeah.
I'm also a strong believer in the what they call the Pygmalion effect.
Mm-hmm.
So, just for your audience. So Pygmalion was this, Greek sculptor, and he made this beautiful sculpture of a beautiful woman and he fell in love with the sculpture. So he prayed to God that I want to marry a woman who's as beautiful as that. And so Aphrodite, who was the goddess of love, she granted this wish and turned that sculpture into a beautiful woman, a breathing woman. And he married that. And, it's a myth or it's a legend, whatever.
Yeah.
But if you can have that positive motivation to transform whatever your passion, your value is driving you, towards. Yeah. If you can motivate yourself to bring it to life, to bring it to fruition, then you work towards it. Yeah. You look at it from that perspective.
Yeah.
Instead of waiting for magic to happen and looking for shortcuts and cutting corners here and all sorts of things. Yeah. So you want to, for example, if you want to impress your teacher or your employer or anybody like that, and they come and tell you that no, I think you can do it. Mm-hmm. Look at it as a positive motivation that, okay, if he thinks I can do it, I can push myself to do better.
Yeah, that opportunity.
Exactly. So you live out of your expectation. You go beyond that. Yeah. You push yourself. That drive, that is what, that's what you need. And that's how I believe that, you need to look at it. I try it all the time. Yeah. So I think if I can learn from it, others can.
Well, and I think you said something really important is that living out of those values and those passions, you will have the motivation you need. If you're living out of someone else's expectation, someone else's passion, you're not going to have that same drive because it's not from you. It's from another, whether it's culture, parents, society, whatever it is. So that's a really good I think, checkpoint too of like, wait a minute here. Am I living out of mine or someone else's? Because when you're living out of your own, I don't think once you have the confidence and know your value and what you're capable of and are willing to get out there and try, you don't lack motivation because you're passionate about it. It's aligned with you. And so I think that's such an important reminder too. Accepting the layered aspects of ourselves and how that's part of that expectations journey. Talk to me about your journey with accepting your layers.
In fact, I was thinking of this particular talking point, and I was in the kitchen when I was thinking about it. It was such a deep question, great question. So, I was chopping onions that time, and I was thinking, I said, aren't we all like onions? We have all these layers. There's no core, but every time life, puts us through an experience, through a challenge, some layer goes off, some new layer builds up. Maybe we become stronger or we become weaker. It's all these layers that they keep building around us or from within us. But I think all these are because of a lot of expectations of people around us. That we build certain layers, and when we become assertive and confident, we shun those layers and we outgrow those layers.
Yeah.
So in the beginning, you did ask, so are there any, there are, like I said, there are no scripted lessons. You have to be open. You have to be welcoming change instead of thinking that status quo is what is going to work. It's not.
Yeah.
Every day is a different learn experience. You have to, with experiences, you keep realizing a lot of layers within yourself that you had, strengths that you had and you never explored or you never knew.
Yeah.
And, these can be towards your career, towards your personal life, some passions that you have, all sorts of things. But you have to be willing to open those layers and to experience, to explore.
Yeah.
And I think that, that is going to make the difference.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Such a good description of that. Thank you so much. In living out feel, in finding empowerment, embracing layers, which you do beautifully. You've given so many great descriptions and metaphors and examples today. Talk to me about how that has affected your relationship with yourself as well as your relationship with other people.
No, actually, a part of me is really envious of you. Your feel, that acronym is so embedded, so profound, and so honest. And the expanded version is also so deep and so meaningful, and also so communicative, because feel has that feeling to it.
Yeah.
So I'll share this from my personal experience. I lost my dad in February of 2023, which is not so long ago.
Yeah.
It was a very traumatic time for me. And, he was hale and hearty, fit, doing everything. And suddenly he was gone. So, like I said, traumas always make you expose different layers within you, and part of you becomes stronger, part of you becomes harder, and when you experience these kind of things, but I feel these experiences, they also make you shed some layers. So I had a lot of fears, a lot of inhibitions that no, I can't do this. This is not for me. Now I'm doing all those things. I used to run away from banks. I was like, no, this is not my cup of tea. I can't do this. Now I'm doing all sorts of things, which experiences are now, I'm gaining from those experiences.
Yeah.
I'm learning from those experiences. So there is a trauma, and then there is a post-traumatic, I wouldn't say stress, but post-traumatic life-changing experience.
Yeah, kind of an unfolding almost.
Exactly. And these things really have an impact on your personality.
Yeah.
Like I'll share this example of a student of mine. I'm going to change her name because I don't want her to feel awkward in case she's hearing it.
Yes.
So, she comes from a family where her family thought that science and maths are, they are the subjects. So STEM is the way to go.
Yeah.
And her dad was very particular that she becomes an engineer or a doctor or a scientist. And she, I was mentoring her for her college applications and helping her identify her career goals. So I was working very closely with her, and she did not like science. She did not like mathematics. She connected with people. She wanted to become a counselor. She wanted to do psychology, and she was very clear that this is what she wanted. But she was also very submissive. She would not say anything. And she was so stressed out. She started having blackouts. And it was very stressful. And, somewhere I felt that I can't intrude between them, but I have to open some kind of a communication channel between them. So I said, one talk is important. At least you say what you want. And because it's now affecting your mental health, is affecting your physical health.
Yes.
And so with the help of her mom, we talked it out, and so her dad agreed. But he had this catch. He says, I'm not going to fund your college education. You have to find out your own, figure out your own finances. Go ahead, do whatever you like. I mean, so we had to research on a lot of these bursaries and all sorts of scholarships and things.
Yeah.
But she got into Monash in Australia. Today she's a practicing psychologist. She's doing very well in life and otherwise. So what I'm saying is that one little communication, it opened up newer layers and changed the layers around her. Not only around her, but around the other people. And this is what is magical.
Yeah.
You only have to put out that little communication. That is what changes your lives. And if I had not intervened or not helped them communicate, I would have regretted it all along.
Sure,
and today
absolutely.
I can share this story because it's so close to my heart that, this child is now having a happy life, fulfilling life.
Yes.
So, like I said, it's all about touching lives. That's the why. That's why, when, where, whatever. But that's what it is.
You created a safety net for her too, because when the father came back with, that's fine, but I'm not going to pay for it, you were then there to support her and help her find those avenues to make that possible. I think that's such an important piece of this story too, is one, you open the door, and because if you hadn't opened that door and also been there to support her and help her through it, she definitely most likely would have done what her father asked and been miserable. And who knows, maybe in college she would have changed routes and just said, I can't do this anymore, I'm changing my mind. But many times that doesn't happen. And then that is the long-term road to midlife crises, burnout, waking up one day like, how did I end up this place in my life that I never intended? And so those little communication that you did now change that whole trajectory. So again, how you show up for people, supporting people, creating safe spaces for people, teaching people, communicating it with people, it can change a whole trajectory. So don't miss how impactful that is. That's just so important.
And a lot of people, they believe that communication is maybe English or grammar, or it's not.
No.
It's just not.
No.
It has nothing to do with English.
No.
English is just a channel, whatever language you understand. I mean, communication is basically whatever I want to say. Am I able to make you understand what I want you to understand? That is communication.
Yeah.
Or am I saying something and you're understanding something completely different?
Right.
So, then there's a miscommunication. So you just need to effectively communicate your thoughts in personal life and professional life. That's the way forward.
It is. It is. And keeping those lines of communication open. And when you haven't been heard correctly or the way you intended, going back and revisiting that. And also, if you're being communicated to, listening well and saying back to, especially if it's a really serious conversation, important conversation, saying back, okay, this is what I'm hearing you say. Did I understand you correctly? And also, too, I think we think about body language and tone of voice. Because if we're saying something, but our bodies and our tones of voice are not in alignment with that, that's a sign too. Like, okay, are you? It's not really what you meant to say. So I think those are the things that are so important about communication too, is all those pieces that go into it.
I mean, your whole body is communicating.
Yes.
Language is just one little element there.
Yeah, no, I think that's such an important, it's an avenue, but it's not, thank you so much for that. Because I think too, and we have so many different ways to communicate these days. So finding the ways that work effectively, but also within some of those communications, the emails, the texting, the DMs, so the emotion can get lost in that. So if not assuming something about a communication, but going back and, getting on the phone or going face to face and speaking and like this, this is what I'm seeing here. Is that correct? Because I think sometimes we miss opportunities in that, or we misconstrue or make assumptions rather than getting clarification through a direct conversation or even a written note or whatever it is that it's going to be that follow up of just not taking something.
I mean, many times, students ask me that, I've applied for this job and I haven't heard from them. It's been a week. It's been 10 days. Suppose I check with them. Will it create a negative impression? Always imagining what is that person's impression of me going to be if I ask. I said, wait for a bit, but do ask.
Yeah.
Do show that you're really interested.
Yes.
They must have got 10,000 applications.
Sure.
But there are 5 people who are, checking that and showing their genuine interest.
Yeah.
So put it out.
Absolutely. We are down to the rapid fire. Name and you don't have to answer these quickly. It's just my coin term for it. But name 5 activities that nourish you.
Okay, there's so many activities, I feel. But I would give the number one nourishment to my baby, my dog, my fur baby. His name is Ryder. He is my lifeline. He's my strength, and I love playing with him, walking him, enjoying all the tricks that my daughter's trained him to, do all sorts of things, playing treasure hunt with him.
Oh.
And, he nourishes me throughout. He knows when I'm sad. He knows when I'm happy. He's a part of my entire being. So
I love that.
He nourishes me the most because he's there most. Everybody else comes and goes, but he's there by my side, and
and so loyal. They're so loyal, and so
communicative.
Yes, they really do have personalities. They really do.
Yeah. His eyes speak it all.
Yeah.
It makes me realize that I don't have to say anything to him. He understands. That, the communication is very unique there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even if I'm spanking him, I'm saying all sorts of bad things to him, but I'm speaking in a polite tone. He's wagging his tail because he feels the communication is so positive. I say, Ryder, you're a moron and you shouldn't talk so much. And he's like, happy. Oh, Mama's happy. So That's
so funny.
nourishment. And he nourishes me. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
Other than that, I think the one thing which I'm really enjoying and which is adding value to my life as much as, and I hope to other people's life, is podcasting. So I used to do radio shows as a child,
Yeah.
Growing up in school, I used to do these. And so now podcasting is like that childhood, that love come back into, in a different shape, but I'm totally enjoying it. You get to talk to thousands of people, it.
Oh, yeah.
You touch all these lives, a whole new bunch is communicating with you every week.
Yeah.
You're talking to strangers, they become friends, they, write to you, you respond. So there's a bond which new bonds keep building. And now I've started, in fact, putting out emails and letters of people when they write something with their names, with their permission. But it's really nice. And I think that is a lot of positive enrichment in my life. So other than that, I think taking care of my family. I don't mollycoddle, but I'm an enabler. When my daughter was growing up, my mom used to say that, you should feed her, otherwise she'll spill. I said, let her half eat, half spill. I don't care. But she's got to learn to eat herself.
You're empowering her.
Yeah, I will put, the most nutritious and tasty food for her, but I will not spoon feed her.
Right.
So, that's me. And I think because of that, today she's a better home chef than I am or my mom is. So, I think taking care of my family has been a priority.
Yeah.
And I think that is my strength. That is my nourishment throughout. And Ryder, my fur baby, is my nourishment. He's my family. So I don't know if I could segregate these 2 points. But
that's absolutely, they are part of your family. They just become, just like another, child. Oh, I'd love that.
And other than that, yes, I think books always nourish me. But I'm often reading more than 2-3 books at one time.
Yeah.
So there's a different book by my bedside. There's a different book in my car. So I'm always reading different sets at one time, and I enjoy that because I think they add a new meaning. There's a different layer every time.
Yeah.
I often reread the books that I've read, and I find newer meanings. Yeah. Especially the ones that I've really enjoyed. And trust me, they've been the simple books, very, very simple books, which come embedded with so many meanings. And especially you can relate them to your life, to your experience, to something. And I think reading is another one. And I think the last one I would say is my walks. I'm not a fitness buff. I'm not a gym rat. I'm too lazy to do any of that. I'm a walker.
Walking is wonderful for you.
I love my walks. If my work or my holiday takes me to the beach, then, that walk on the beach is like my lifeline.
Yeah.
I crave for it. We have this beautiful place in India called Goa. You must go. And so it's...
I bet the sea is just beautiful there.
Beautiful, beautiful there. And I get my best ideas when I'm walking. So I'm simultaneously asking Siri to make notes because, these good ideas, they just come and go.
I know. Yeah. You don't want to forget them. Absolutely.
So I have to keep checking on my notes. Okay, when was this? When did this happen? And then that memory sort of,
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
I think life nourishes you more than anything else. It's the totality of it. It's everything put together, the goods, the bads. You just have to spot that nourishment and take it positively. Yeah. Take it like that Pygmalion effect. Take it like, think of it that this is going to transform me into a better human being, into a better person, to give more meaning to my life. so that I can also add value to the lives of others. And, you know, with my father leaving so suddenly and a recent episode of my mom, I'm just living the very minute. For example, right now I'm here, this minute I'm not thinking about anything else.
Yeah.
This is the minute I'm breathing, and this is the life I'm living. I will not carry the baggage of the past. I will not think about what tomorrow is going to be. This is what life is. And I think that's my mantra. That's what keeps me going. That's what nourishes me.
I love that so much. I love the value, the simplicity, but the value of being present. And I can relate to the losses. We lost my mother-in-law and father-in-law in 2023 within a 5-month period. We expected my mother-in-laws, my father-in-laws, we did not expect. And so by the time we got to September of 2023, we were just rocked. I mean, it was just, but it also like forces you to sit with life and like, listen, I've got this one precious life and I need to be really mindful of where I'm putting my time and giving my energy, because you just don't know what the timeline is. And so
exactly
living it with that honor, not living it in fear of that, but just knowing and living it presently and well, so that whenever your time comes, that you're not, there's not regrets. You just know you can live as your most honest, authentic self in present in the moment as best you could, because it really does reframe the way you look at things. I can completely relate to that. But also, you take those gems that you learn from those people. I mean, my father-in-law's favorite saying was keep moving forward. He would always tell us if we were struggling with anything, if there was a challenge, he was like, just got to keep moving forward. You just got to take that next step, whatever that is that you need to do for, and it was just such a good reminder. Like, I want to live my life like that, where I'm present with my people, giving my time to the things I love, and I keep moving forward and doing the best I can do for myself each day. So yeah, there's so much value in that. So I appreciate your vulnerability and sharing that, and just know that I can totally relate to that. And there's so much power in it. And it doesn't mean there's not grief and sadness, and it doesn't rock you, but also knowing that, so feeling all those things, honoring all those emotions, because they do bring up new layers. So many times grief brings up a layer that's never been exposed before, because you've never experienced that kind of grief. And it is an opportunity to learn about yourself and what you need, and being present and mindful to take care of yourself the best you can, but also in a way that honors the people that are no longer with us. So I think it's such an important balance of that. So thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that. 5 words on how you want to feel the next 6 months.
Like I said, your questions are so deep. Next 6 months. And, before this, I would like to say, a couple of months back when we talked and you said we froze on this date, 15th of May, 8:30 p.m. And then I said, this woman really knows her schedule. She knows what she's going to do when, and I really need to learn from her. And then you said, I'm also going to check with you on 1st of May, whether we're on schedule, everything's going as per plan. And there your mail was right on the dot. I get your message and I was like, I really need to learn from her. So
thank you.
When you say, what are you going to do 6 months from now? That really got me thinking. And so yeah, I want to feel I've moved, I've grown. I want to feel that.
Yeah.
Sometimes we cover a lot of distance, but there's no displacement. But I want to feel that I have grown and I have moved further up from where I was, even if it's little learnings, but little learnings make a lot of difference. I want to feel healthier, physically, mentally, emotionally, prioritizing self-care.
Yeah.
I want to feel that healthier. And also, I want to feel that I'm in a safer space. Not that I'm not in a safer space, but I want to be in a safer space in 6 months.
Yeah.
Again, like I said, physically, mentally, emotionally, financially, developing myself. And the one thing that I always want to do, whether it's 6 months or forever in life, is I want to keep enjoying the little things in life because that's what makes me.
Yeah.
And, I don't want to lose that in the process of any rat race and, any of those kind of things. So, like today we completed, it's not something to boast about, but I did the 10,000, crossed the 10,000 in my followers on Insta.
Oh, wow. Yes, you should have heard of that. That's amazing.
Yeah, because it's there's no digital marketing agency. There is nobody. It's just one. I just and it was an effort from my side because my daughter said, "No, you have to be on social media." I was too shy to for all those reels and those kind of things. So it was a nice thing to see that 10K.
Yeah, and it's those little wins. Yeah, it's exactly. It's those little wins, those little ways you're making an impact. It's those ways you're living your life every day. It's all of those little experiences in the journey that make up a life. And so many times we get our mindset on an outcome that we miss all of the little, and I've been guilty of that for years. I've really had to do a reset with myself of moving from that end game, that outcome, to living life as I'm moving towards whatever is coming next, whatever breakthrough I would like to reach, that in that I'm still living my life and not missing those moments and being present in those little things, because that's really what makes up a life. So thank you for that. Oh, Sarika, this has been such a wonderful one. Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
The last one, I want to feel more mature, more sensible.
Yes, I
think all this will come with experiences, and I hope they're pleasant ones for every one of us. And I want to feel I've made some wise choices. I'm ambitious, but not at the cost of compromising myself. Of what I want out of life. All these kind of reaching there and building a unicorn or whatever corn. that's not in the agenda. The idea is to lead a fulfilling life and leave a legacy, like my father did. Leave a legacy for the generations. That there is something they look up to. There is something they feel that, okay, my mother or my grandmother or whatever, my great grandmother did something good, and this is what we're proud of. So that's my ambition.
Well, and I love that because you're showing them what's possible too. It can be a great motivator, showing them what's possible. I think it's especially so important for girls to see that in their mothers and grandmothers, those examples. So I'm so glad you brought that up. So important. This has been just such a wonderful conversation. You have so much to share. I just appreciate you so much taking the time to do this. We are 12 and a half hours apart, so we had to really be strategic in the time that we picked to have this conversation. But I knew it was going to be so impactful. It energizes me to be able to have these conversations with you. So thanks so much for taking the time. Can you let people know, speaking of that Instagram place, let people know how they can follow you, learn more about you, listen to your podcast, work with you, let everybody know. And this will also be on our resources page on our website. Go to embracinglayers.com, listeners. All of that information is going to be there. So you don't need to stop and write it down right now, but I still want to give Sarika an opportunity to share that information with you all.
That's very, very kind of you, Melissa. This conversation has been so engaging, so fulfilling, and so meaningful. And I really hope that this adds value to the lives of your listeners. This is one woman reaching out to the other, and many others out there who are tuned in, who are listening. We are there for each other. We have to be together. We cannot not be together. Holding hands, backing each other up in more ways than one. And keep building communication channels with your family, professionally, with everyone around you. If there's somebody who needs help in communicating, push them, show them the way. You don't have to do it for them, but you can show them, different ways they can learn, resources, share all those resources with them, spread the good word. I think sharing information, sharing knowledge is very empowering. So at least that's the least we can do for our children, for our families, for our near and dear ones.
Yeah.
I thank you, Melissa, for letting me plug my social media handle. It's communication_coaching. And my website is communicate101.com. Also sarikasingh.in. And my podcast is called Communicate 101 Speaking Writing Tips. And it's on Spotify, it's on Apple Music, it's on whichever podcast you hear. So,
okay.
It's everywhere. It's an Apple. And I'm very, very grateful to all those people who've been patient with hearing us chat, because we've thoroughly enjoyed it, and I hope they've enjoyed it as well. And we could make some difference in, everyone's life.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Melissa. It's been an honor.
Thank you too, Sarika. And I have no doubt that it's been an impact and that you'll continue to make an impact, because that's just who you are. And that's just that's what fuels you. And it comes through so authentically. I mean, we are thousands of miles away from each other on a screen, and I can feel that energy from you. It's palpable. And so I appreciate you taking this time to share a little bit about yourself and your journey with us today. Field Podcast audience, go to that website, go to embracinglayers.com, go to the resources page, look for Sarika's episode and how to follow her, how to learn from her, how to continue to get great nuggets of information from her as she supports people and women around the world in this calling that she has in life, that she honors so beautifully. And take some time this week for yourself. Look at how you're communicating with people. Is it healthy? Is it well? Is it happening? Is there a place you could improve it? Is there someone that needs your help? And is there someone, as you're out in your day, at the grocery store, in the office, at the hospital, walking down the street, that just needs a hello, that just needs an eye contact, that just needs a check-in? You just never know the difference you can make. And Sarika shared so many beautiful examples of that today. So think about these things. Jessica, our blog writer, will have some great ways for you to engage with this content. So watch out for that. Check that out on our blog. But I hope that you feel as blessed by this discussion today as I have. Take good care of yourselves and have a great week.